For those that don't know, Outriders is an upcoming co-op shooter game made by People Can Fly, and it's produced by Square Enix. And they've sponsored this video and asked me to get you up to speed on the game, how development is progressing, and cover off their new announcements in their latest broadcast, which is focused on how the Outriders can pull their powers together to overcome some of the threats that the planet Enoch has on offer. So, Outriders, a brief rundown. It's a co-op loot-based RPG, but unlike other games in this space, it will be a complete experience out of the box. That's to say there's no season pass, there's no DLC, there's no live service here, there's no microtransactions. It's just a classic approach to a video game, where everything is there on the day of release. And that's quite a big breath of fresh air these days. Drawing on their previous experience with games like Gears of War and Bulletstorm, the developers at People Can Fly are building an RPG first and a shooter second, and they're building it into a brutal science fiction storyline set on the planet of Enoch. Humanity's efforts to colonize the planet, they didn't pan out as expected. There's this strange energy that's granting some humans and the planet's inhabitants various superpowers. At the beginning of the game, you'll create your own custom character from 4 distinct classes: Trickster, Pyromancer, Devastator, and the just revealed Technomancer. Each of these classes offer unique abilities that you as the player can utilize, and combine those powers with your friends to produce some rather powerful results. In Outriders, the characters that you play as are all affected and changed by this energy. It's an anomaly storm, which gives them power to control elements and physical forces. And this kind of lays the groundwork for how the characters will play and perform in combat. But this same energy that altered these human beings who landed on Enoch is also the same energy that destroyed the technology that arrived with them. Let's give you a quick rundown of 3 of the classes. The Trickster is able to manipulate time and space. Ultimately, it's a stealth class. The Devastator, as the name might suggest, is your ground-based brute. It's the tank of the group, allowing you to get up close to enemies. And the Pyromancer is able to use fire to cover your enemies in flame and heal yourself whenever enemies die to your skills. Now, there is a 4th class, and it was only just revealed in the new broadcast released yesterday, called the Technomancer, and their powers are linked to technology. You're going to be able to conjure up turrets, mines, missile launchers, and even miniguns. They operate as longer-range characters. They're able to provide covering fire during gunfights, and they possess the best healing abilities of any of the classes in Outriders. With each of these classes that you can play through in Outriders, you'll progress and unlock new skills and abilities that you can assign to your characters, and there's a separate skill tree that you can use to create a more bespoke experience for each different character. Different weapons and items you equip your character with will further switch up the playstyle that you take on, so the choice is yours really about how you want to play. So those are the characters. Let's talk a little bit more about the planet, Enoch, that Outriders is set on. You begin in the first city. This is the area that was first colonized by refugee humans. Factors like monster inhabitants and the anomaly storms have left the humans stuck in this area, and they've been unable to expand beyond this initial location that they built on. And this has led to a semi-breakdown in society. The characters that you play, the ones in Outriders, they are the only humans who are able to help the colony expand beyond these boundaries. And the story of Outriders is pretty much based on all those trials and tribulations working their way through the landscape and fighting various enemies. The main story is connected to a bunch of free roam areas that contain other missions and side quests. And these side quests, they will scale to the level that you attempt them at and remain valuable to complete even later on in the game once you're a much higher level. They also take place in bespoke regions. They're new and separate from the main story, and that's going to reveal more about the planet, the life there, and the lore of Outriders. Throughout the story, you're going to visit hubs, and this is where you holster your weapons for a bit and you take a breather from the combat on Enoch, allowing you to visit vendors to trade weapons and materials, speak to the natives about what's going on, or accept side missions to further explore the world. Rather than being limited to these hubs, though, to go through all the necessary tasks like crafting new weapons or changing abilities, you'll also be able to take all of it with you with the Outriders truck. This grows and changes with you as you progress through the story. This truck houses pretty much everything you need from the hub, like a weapon vendor, your crafting locations, and your crew. You'll also be able to customize your truck as you play through the story, making it completely unique to you. That uniqueness then spreads when you start playing in co-op with your friends, since their characters will be all set up differently to you with different abilities. And combining those abilities creates these skill executions against enemies, and they can be really powerful in boss fights. Your abilities on your own, they will be effective, but if you just decide to run and gun everything, eventually you're going to start hitting roadblocks, and that's where the co-op elements of Outriders start to come into play. Now, with Outriders being a game where the world around you has a large effect on the gameplay, a system has been built by the development team to make sure that the game is treating you and your skill level fairly. It's called World Tiers, and it's a flexible difficulty system that will take into account your performance as you progress, stepping up or down the difficulty level as you move through. This has been done to make sure you're always having a good experience in the game, whether you're somebody who is just there for the story element and wants to learn about more of what's going on the land of Enoch, or somebody who just likes smashing through the environment with maxed out weaponry, taking on anything and everything that stands in your way. Higher world tiers are of course more challenging, as they increase the enemy stats like the damage they can deal, their health pool, the level of armor, etc. But by playing through Outriders in the higher world tiers, you'll earn more rewards, and rewards of higher tier as well. Once you reach the higher tiers, it's down to you to build out your classes more effectively so you can continue to progress through the next world tiers. Now, of course, what happens if you perform really well in some of the missions in one tier and less so in others? Maybe you've stepped up to the next tier and you're finding it too difficult. Well, when you die in Outriders, you'll lose a percentage of your world tier advancement, and that's a way of making sure you don't end up stepping too far up the scale and entering into missions set on too hard a difficulty for you to complete. Game difficulty also scales by the amount of players in the game, so if you are playing co-op with two of your friends, chances are the missions will be more difficult than if you did them on your own. So that's a little bit more about Outriders. There will be more broadcasts coming up in the future as the team closes in on their release date in the holiday season of 2020. The game is going to launch on the two new consoles, the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, as well as the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC and Stadia as well. There's a link down in the description if you want to learn more about Outriders, so go and click on that if you're so inclined. And a big thanks to Square Enix for sponsoring this video, and another big thanks for you guys watching. I'll catch you all in the next one.